Okay, today in 6.7 in IM2, we're going to be talking about inequalities in two triangles. So, imagine a gate between fence posts A and B that has hinges at A and swings open at B. So here is my hinge right there. And as we open the gate, notice that what happens to angle A. Okay, it gets wider and wider. So they're talking about this angle here. And as the gate opens, that angle is going to get bigger and bigger. And that's what we need you to think about when we're talking about the hinge theorem. Because with a hinge, things open. Okay? So here's my hinge, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? So, the hinge theorem is that if two sides of one triangle are congruent, and this is the key, you have to have the two congruent sides. Okay? So if two sides of one triangle are congruent in two sides of another triangle, and the included angle of the first, so there's the included angle, the one between the two congruent sides, the included angle of the first is larger than the included angle of the second, then the third side of the first is longer than the third side of the second. So they're saying that WX is greater than ST because it's this side that's across from that included angle. Okay? Now, the converse of the hinge theorem is that if two sides of one triangle are congruent to the two sides of another, so you still have to have the two congruent sides, okay, very important, and the third side of the first, so not the included sides, not the congruent sides, but the other side, okay, the third side of the first is longer than the third side of the second, then the included angle, we'll go back to the angle now, of the first is larger. Okay, so read through these a little bit so that if my explanation kind of mixed you up, you'll be able to figure that out. So that's telling us angle C is greater than angle F. Okay? And that's what it says right here. So it's pretty basic, but you need to remember if you're talking about the hinge, it's the hinge theorem. Think of the angle as your hinge. If they're talking about the side across from the hinge, then it's the converse. Okay, so using the hinge theorem. Okay, so we've got, given that JK, that one there, is equal to LK, how does JM compare? Remember that this side is also congruent to itself. So now we can look at the hinge, and so we can see that JM is going to be larger than ML, or LM, okay, by the hinge theorem. So we had the hinge, so it's the hinge theorem. Okay, let's look at some more. Okay, using the converse of the hinge theorem. So we're given the sides, okay, again, notice that we have a same side, so that's our second angle. So here's my included angle, okay. Then we're going to look at this side, PT is bigger than RS, so that means that angle, and we're going to have to give it 3 letters to name it because it's could be more than one thing. So this is PST, so measure of angle PST is going to be greater than the measure of angle SPR. Okay, because those are our angles that we're talking about. And here's your explanation. Okay, so now what you're going to have to do is apply it and decide which of these theorems that you're going to use. Okay, so look at this. I can see that I have, oh, these are both isosceles triangles and both sides are equal. So that does follow that the two sides are equal. We have the included angle. We're given the hinge here, so we're going to use the hinge theorem. Okay? And we're going to say that BC is greater than EF, not just by look, because sometimes they won't give you the diagram, but we can prove it by the hinge theorem. Okay? Okay, now we're going to look at this one, and they're giving us the measure of a side, and they're asking us about the angle. So for this one, we're going to use the converse of the hinge theorem because we're being given the opposite side. So we have the two sides again equal, and we're looking at angle A and angle D because those are the included angles. Angle A, the side opposite angle A is 9. The side opposite angle D is 2. So we know that the measure of angle A is greater than the measure of angle D. Okay, and this last one, we're looking carefully. We've got a same side, so that's our second side. We have this side that's equal to this side. So our included angle is right here and right here. They're not equal, so we're going to make them look different. And so now we're being given the angle again. So this is using the hinge theorem. Okay, and then we're going to look at the 145. AB would be greater than AC because this angle 145 is bigger. And there you go. Okay, so now we're going to look at a word problem. These are kind of confusing, so listen carefully. Okay, so we have two groups of bikers that are leaving the same campsite. So we're going to have the same campsite, and they're traveling both 2 miles and then 1.2 miles when they change direction. So first group, we're going to say heads east. So we're going to go east 2 miles. Okay, then they're going to change direction. This tells you how to look at that. So they're going to turn 45 degrees north. Okay, and they're going to go 1.2 miles. So then we're going to draw our triangle to show how they traveled. Okay, and you can see that on this picture here. Okay, now the second group, so what you have to do when you're thinking about this is find this angle. So that is 180 minus 45, which would be 135 degrees. Okay, so that's this angle here, 135 degrees. And we'll go down to this diagram now that I've shown you the basics. The second group goes due west 2 miles, then changes 30 degrees and goes 1.2 miles. So that means this angle here is 150. So they want to know which of these groups is further from camp. So now we're going to look at the hypothesis. So we've been given our hinge, and we're going to look at the angle across, the distance across. And we can see that group B has a bigger angle, so their distance is going to be farther than group A. Okay, so here's the answer. Group A, this shows you. So we know that group A or group B is farther from camp. Okay, we don't know how much farther, but we do know that they are farther from camp. There we go. So the distance group B is from camp is greater than the distance group A is from camp by the hinge theorem. There you go. All right. So this is your exit ticket. You are going to, I put the little hint up at the top, and you're going to draw your own diagram and figure out, number 1, which sailboat was farther from the starting point, and number 2, choose the best explanation that supports your choice. So, good luck with that.